Romance of the Three Kingdoms, the first one on the NES, when you look at the lands, and then like even the later iterations, there's the river. There's one river and it floods every once in a while, but otherwise that's only where the provinces exist. That's only where the people live. The rest of China is barren. And the reason why it's barren is because there's no water there. There's no sustenance there. You can't survive on that land. And it's just amazing that the Chinese just they're able to have such a huge population, but they can't support it. Like wow, and that's why they get all their grain from England or Europe, USA. Anyways, all right. So that's my thing, and I talked to you guys about Japanese language and how it's regimented. And so it's just kind of a, it's like a stunted language in that respect. It's beautiful because because you said now, because you told me how they're incorporating a lot of Korean characters into Japanese now. So what that means to me is because the Japanese they had developed a large enough society, and I think part of the reason for World War II is that the emperor is like, I want to be the emperor of the world. Let's see if I can do it. And that's why he encouraged, they used to be isolationists, and then they radically changed into a modern army, and and the emperor realized, hey, I got large populations here. Now I really got some large populations here, and I can order these guys into the military, and so that's why emperor allowed just dramatic militarization of society, but he put it all underneath these guys, these military guys, and just passed it on, but all these guys always said, I will live according to the emperor, and it's like, I exist now because of the emperor. The emperor is allowing me to do this, shit, and this is my thing, I want to be a fucking military commander, just, and rule this stuff, kind of thing. But then again, maybe the emperor is like, I want you to take over Korea, he's like, he just tells the people, he tells his generals, take over Korea for me, so they do it, and they fucking do it, they just take over all of Korea, and he's like, fuck, hey, start taking Manchukuo, or Manchuria, it's like Manchuria, just chomping down, and it's like and that's what it was. It was this weird thing, and that was the Chinese history professor said, and even Japan's war was starting like 1845, 1848 when they started, inviting these foreigners to come over and give them technology, and they started sending their dignitaries out to look at technology. It was this idea that this is how do they get in it? That you can develop your society into much more cohesive. We got these modern technologies, and so the emperor kind of he has these guys to get it in there, and he's like, well, let's bring that in there. The emperor still basically controls what comes in, but he's like, well, I can always order my society back to the way it was. I know what my society is like. I can order that, and that's what he did at sometimes. But otherwise, he's like, well, I want to, I still want to control these guys, and I still want to, but I want to produce more. And that's what the emperor was like, I want these guys to produce better goods. So that's why it had the industrialization of Japan, and it was rapid, But on top of that, check this out. This is what the emperor realized. He said, well, I have all these guys who are warriors, and they have swords, and they're always fucking fighting, and they're always trained. But check this out. I can control these guys with guns, because that's what they did in England. England, it was like, only the king's men can have crossbows. Crossbows are pretty good, and it's like only the king's men can have crossbows, and then later it's like only the king's men can have rifles. And they're like, hunting was not encouraged. The Second Amendment is what, like I said, gives us our power. So, but the Japanese emperor is like, look, I can control you guys. I can control the population now better through these democratic leaderships here and there, kind of thing. And that's what they kind of encourage. But it was like borderline, feudal. But now it's a bit more democratic. It's like basically if you were capable, and that's what the emperor liked. So like basically, you people can do what you want, and you can live your life. I will make you believe that you live your life, but you still, owe it to me. But what I'm going to allow is, okay.